Welcome to the TubeBuddy Express podcast, brought to you by TubeBuddy, the #1 tool to make your YouTube life easy. Each week, we discuss how you can utilize TubeBuddy to enhance your YouTube experience and make your life as a creator easier. And now, here's your host, Dusty Porter.
Hello and welcome back to the TubeBuddy Express Show, episode 64. Man, I cannot believe we are already up to episode 64. Every time I say a new episode number, it just comes back and comes so fast. Every time I record an episode on Friday, it's like, oh, it's Friday again. Again, I understand that's probably because I'm getting older. Anyways, let's just leave that there. Today's episode is brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at TubeBuddy. If you can't tell from the title of the show, I work for TubeBuddy, do some live streams over there. They sponsor my other podcast. Guys, if you haven't already, it is the one-stop shop for all things YouTube tools. It allows you to automatically upload to Facebook. It allows you to automatically import tags. It allows you to bulk edit your description and end cards and things like that. So much more. Go click the link in the show notes if you haven't already. Would like to let everyone know, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button within iTunes or Stitcher Radio or Google Play, wherever you consume your podcast content. That way, every single Friday when I release a new episode, sometimes around the area of 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will be notified each and every Friday. Consistency is key, and I am extremely adamant on making sure that I consistently provide you great content here on the TubeBuddy Express feed, on the podcast feed, if you are a YouTuber. So let's go ahead and dive into this week's topic. Today, we're going to be talking about how to become a better communicator. So I've been getting a lot of emails lately and tweets about, well, I don't think I'm that great in front of a camera. I don't think I can get a point across. I have a theme of my video, but I'm not quite sure if I'm getting my point across. So today, we're going to be talking all about, for the next 6 to 7 minutes, all about how to become a better communicator. So I've got about 7 things that I'm going to talk about, 7 points, and we're going to break them all down. Number 1. This one, most people forget about this one. Number 1, give a valuable takeaway. Whether you're giving a talk on a stage or you're doing a podcast like this specific podcast episode, the takeaway is this: to become a better communicator, you must commit to understanding your purpose. Okay? That's the takeaway. Okay? Again, even if it's just a group discussion, or in this case, a YouTube video, you need to really deliver value. Why are people listening to Gary Vaynerchuk? Why are people consuming content like that? It's because there is value, okay? So there needs to be an actionable item that people can walk away with. Now, let's just use pastors, for example, at church. And the best pastors are those that can, at the end of a sermon or the end of a message, have you walk away from that sermon and have something to chew on, right? Have something to just walk away with that sermon and say, man, that really resonated with me. That's an actionable takeaway, okay? It's especially important when we have to speak up to critique or correct an idea. So once you start getting political, once you start talking about opinions, you need to make sure that you have a valuable takeaway and that your criticism or whatever the opinion you're addressing is constructive criticism. This is, again, key to becoming a great communicator. Number 2, pick an opportune time to speak and say what you're trying to say. Okay, so the best way for your voice to be heard out there in the community or on YouTube is to make sure that what you're saying is time relevant. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people on YouTube want to talk about the new Star Wars movie. Well, the new Star Wars movie, maybe it was released 9 months ago, okay? You're not relevant. You need to be relevant. You need to have an opportune time to speak, okay? That's number 2. Number 3, cut the fluff. That's right, you heard me correctly. When you are speaking to a large amount of people, you need to make sure that if there's anything in between I'm not talking about the ands and the ums. What I'm talking about here is if there's that story you tell in the middle of your presentation that really isn't relevant and it just adds time to it, just cut it. Go back to number 1 that I just mentioned. Value, value, value. Whenever I sign up with a new affiliate, okay, I always use the promo word value. Why? Because I want my consumers, my people in my audience to know, boom, value. I want them to relate the word value to me, right? I want them to understand when they consume my content, it's going to be valuable, okay? So you may only have a very small amount of time to speak. Your YouTube videos may only be 3 to 5 minutes long, or max, 10 to 15 minutes long, and you need to put as much value packed into that time as possible. So this means you need to get straight to the point. Normally, if you're in a large group setting, the person who is long-winded will be that person that loses the attention of the group. Yes, there are people who speak for 45-minute segments or hour-long segments, but they probably have 2 to 3 hours worth of content. They're cutting all of that excess, okay? So when you eat a steak, right, normally, some people, like my father, like the fat, but normally what you'll do is you'll cut off the fat and you'll get the lean meat, the good protein, the best part of the steak. So think of it that way when it comes to a presentation or a YouTube video. Cut the fluff, get straight to the lean, good stuff. Number 4, prepare, prepare, prepare. Make sure you are preparing ahead of time. Now, people say to me all the time, including my wife, she's like, public speaking for you is not hard. That is incorrect. And I tell her this every time she makes that statement. No. Most of us don't communicate on the fly as well as we'd like, okay? Like right now, I'm looking at 2 pages documents and 2 different websites that I've pulled from for research for this particular episode. I am prepared. I spend a couple to 5 to 6 to 7 hours every single week preparing, sometimes more, for this 7 to 10 minute episode. So you need to be prepared. You are more likely to provide a very strong and memorable video if you take the time to sort out your points and practice them first. Now, I've told you this before, guys. I don't like to read off a script when it comes to my YouTube videos. I would much rather have like about 6 or 7 bullet points, which is kind of what I have here today on this podcast, and then basically flesh out those ideas as I'm communicating, because that's the way I communicate. But I prepare, I memorize my points, I know the order that they're going to go in, and even before this podcast starts, before I hit record, I have the house cleaning stuff at the beginning of the notes here. It says, make sure I mention the sponsor, make sure I do this, make sure I do, this. So again, make sure you are preparing ahead of time. Number 5. This one may not seem as important, but it's so crucial. Smile. The whole time I'm recording this podcast, I'm a voiceover actor as well, and when I read scripts, a lot of the briefings that come through is, I want this read with a smile. Why is that? Because it sounds better. Your presentation has emotion. One of the things that people ask me all the time, well, how does your personality shine so much through an audio recording? It's not because my personality is better than person A or B. It's because I'm willing to smile. I'm willing to look silly here in my studio when no one is around. I'm moving my hands. I'm animated. I'm smiling. I'm happy. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So be positive. If you smile, and you not force yourself, but make yourself do that, you will see that all of your content will be that much more positive, that much more uplifting. Know that it is so important to smile. It is so, so, so important to smile. Number 6 is this. Make sure that when you are communicating, whether it be a YouTube video or for public speaking, you always keep practicing. You always try to become better, okay? You still need to do this even when you feel confident. I remember the first time I got up on a stage and talked about a specific topic. I was nervous as heck, and it was one of the situations to where I knew my stuff so, so well. But I think what made the presentation be as successful as it was those nights and those evenings I would practice in front of the mirror, or I would practice in my studio. I would record myself and listen back at it and critique what I was doing, and I would change things and move things. Always understand, you are never too good to practice. Putting a few simple ideas into practice when it comes to communication creates momentum to achieve the confidence and success you want, okay? So remember, you will go further and you will go much quicker if you are intentional about improving your communication skills. YouTubers say all the time, oh man, I don't need to work on my communication skills. What? Yes, you do. When I go and watch your YouTube video and this is how you sound, hey guys, this is Josh. Welcome to that's why, okay? That's why you need to work on your communication, okay? No, you're not a bad communicator. You just haven't practiced. You haven't put yourself out there, okay? And then number 7, this one's easy, just like the Nike check, just do it, right? To become better at something, you got to do it. I don't remember exactly the verbiage behind this quote, but basically, it takes 10,000 hours to perfect something. So continue doing what you're doing. Continue producing YouTube video after YouTube video, and you will get better and better and better. The more of these podcasts I do, the more comfortable I feel, the more practice I have, the more of them I have under my belt, the better I become. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. Thank you for TubeBuddy for sponsoring another wonderful episode of this show. Something new we're doing is we're going to be repurposing through a new software that is actually a partner with TubeBuddy now, repurpose.io, that will allow us to every single week republish this podcast content, audio content, onto our TubeBuddy YouTube channel. So definitely be looking out for that if that's how you want to consume this content. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do, and until next time, keep pressing record.